Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, Tyler has fun.
PicklePod, welcome to the show. Stop Alzheimer's Now swear jar coming in hot.
No, that's too firm. It's too firm. My parents will be. Is it a problem if I, as somebody in the media landscape, am constantly worried about what like my grandparents and my parents think?
That's what we were taught to do growing up.
Yeah. I'm still a slave to that.
Are you?
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe oh man, this is good. We're gonna start off with a really nasty, morbid joke, but maybe I don't have any grandparents left, so maybe that's why I'm okay being such an ass on this podcast.
Uh-huh. What kind of child were you? Did you get in a lot of trouble?
I really liked to toe the line.
Yeah, right. You tried to like outsmart. You were like the little shit that, but they couldn't quite pin you with anything.
100,000%.
Yeah.
Like I stirred the pot an unbelievable amount.
Right.
But I never did anything that was like really, really got me in trouble. So I did stuff like I was actually voted biggest drama queen in high school because by the end of the year, so this is what I would do. And I should really start doing this in pickleball, but I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the year, people figured out my shtick. I would start rumors that I just found to be entertaining.
Okay.
About some of
we
my
call
friends.
That lying.
Well, who's to say whether some of this stuff wasn't true? But I didn't know. It didn't stop me from telling people.
Right.
But I would tell this one girl at our school, and she was quiet. Nobody would ever think that she'd be the source of a rumor. But she was really close with this other girl who would say anything to anybody and believed everything.
Okay.
And so I was one step removed from the origin of these rumors.
Right.
And then it would be the sign of a successful rumor would be when it came full circle and I heard
and somebody
that
told you
my buddy didn't have a right nipple. Like, no way, that's crazy.
Yeah, but you would leak it to this girl knowing she would leak it to this girl who's essentially the megaphone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of super spreader. Not
too unlike how some of the information has gotten out in the tour wars here.
More or less, but like Jimmy is just the super spreader. Jimmy and PB4444.
Yeah, there's people who go direct to the source. I'm just going to make an anonymous account and just go ham. And then there's those who whisper things to those with podcasts or Twitter accounts.
More or less.
Speaking of rumors, Tyler Loom making $5 million.
Yeah.
True?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think they called you out. They said that you were very jealous and you texted them.
I did. Okay, so I texted Tyler and Jimmy, and I said, the amount of questions that I've personally received about Tyler getting a $5 million contract is crazy. And they were like, are you jealous, bro? And I think I just responded like, haha. I don't remember what I responded. I'm sure you can, if you want to know what I responded, you can go ahead and listen to the next King of the Court podcast because I'm sure Jimmy will bring it up.
So you're asserting that he is not making $5 million.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Tyler is not making $5 million.
I heard it was $6 million per year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you were right. There's no way that Tyler would only be making $5 million.
And the only reason he hasn't squashed these, Tyler, this is true, is because you kind of like the rumor. You kind of like being known as the guy who's making like $5 million.
Now he did say it. He said it like really nonchalant. He got my mom. My mom was like, "Tyler's making $5 million."
Right. So your mom was the one who was jealous.
She's jealous on my behalf.
Yeah.
I am not making $5 million. Anybody?
Yeah.
Just so you guys know.
Neither am I. All right. So what should we start out with?
You mean your honcho pickleball leagues aren't filling up?
Soon. They're
not making you $5 million?
The plan is for them to eventually, but no, definitely not right now.
Somebody, I think in one of the YouTube comments, somebody said Ben and Colin should show up, play honcho pickleball, and take Zane up on his bet, but bet like $10,000.
Yeah, right.
It's like, all right, sure, but
pull a little. What was AJ Kohler's like alternate persona at one point? I can't remember. Chet Subaru. Yeah, you gotta bring that back. Game. Yeah,
Chet's been real inactive lately.
Yeah, they did some like really funny, like well done videos, like high production value.
They were awesome.
If you're new to pickleball, you don't know what we're talking about, type in Chet Subaru on YouTube and see what comes up.
How do you know that was AJ?
I guess I don't. I never saw him change into a costume or change out of one. So
there are a lot of AJ-isms. I'd say that AJ is the most likely person, but we don't know that for a fact.
Yeah, right. Besides that, they look exactly alike. There's no evidence.
I mean, but Chet has way longer hair than AJ. I don't think AJ has hardly any hair. He has lots of hair on his chest, but not very much on his head. Okay. And Chet's got he's got a full thing going.
All right. Any more analysis of the chest hair?
Tom's like, let's start the podcast.
We can. So there's a number of different ways we can go, right? We can do the MLP stuff, or we have a few topics we can cover before we get into that. Is that how you'd like to do it?
Yeah, let's do some of the. We'll do a little preview of MLP Atlanta, of the pickleball, but we also got to make sure that we're adequately covering the gossip, the drama.
Yeah, of course.
What the people want. Give the people what they want. So probably the most notable thing going into MLP Atlanta is the sit-outs. Mm-hmm. The people, it's pretty much, I guess.
Which we're now calling it a sit-out because it's not really much of a boycott.
Yeah, not a boycott, but Julian and Lauren, I guess, have confirmed that they are not playing. Right. By all accounts, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I'm hearing is that is the advice that we've received from our lawyer, which
really,
I mean, we can't fault him for that.
Where'd you hear that?
That's my sources.
Okay.
I'm not going to reveal my sources.
Right. Yeah, I put some feelers out, and basically the consensus was we have no idea why they're sitting out. Just doesn't make sense.
They're not talking about it per the advice of their lawyer. I guess there could be other reasoning.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure there has to be.
Give them the benefit of the doubt. There's something going on there that we're not aware of.
I would guess there'd have to be. Because I still can't think of any reason to not play this Major League Pickleball unless they're so happy with the deal that they got, which they might be, or maybe they think, okay, if I injure myself now, my contract goes into effect January 1, 2024, but I suppose if I'm injured, I won't get that dollar amount. Mm-hmm. And so maybe they're just not. If that's the case, I would just not be playing at all. I'd wrap myself in bubble wrap if I was going to go outside.
Pull the Braverman.
Pull a full Braverman.
An MLP owner
add a helmet too.
An MLP owner said it's one of the great mysteries of the world why they boycotted. Nobody benefited from this turmoil more than them. They should be playing in ski masks. That was an MLP owner. Or that was an MLP owner quoting another MLP owner is essentially how I'm reading this. But that's the general consensus. Everyone's just I don't understand. So maybe we'll find out more. Maybe we won't. And then there's one other, but she's sick. One of the Brasha sisters. I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
But she's just sick.
Just one of them. No, yeah. It's Mary. Mary, I guess, is
Well,
ill.
I just saw Brasha. Yeah.
I would guess there has to be some wording in their contract, maybe specific to them, because I think they're represented by an agent that might only be representing them, or an agency that only has two players. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that agency just put some different wording in that they're sitting out because of. But anyway, I don't know. At what point does that become official? That's what the word on the street is that Julian, Lauren, and Mary aren't playing. But is that Thursday at 11:59 p.m.? When I'm playing my fantasy football, you have to have your actives and inactives out 90 minutes ahead of the game.
Right. But you also have to be somebody ready. You have to have somebody ready to go off the bench just in case. So, how does that work? Are they just pulling from this player pool that's not on a challenger team? I mean, is that essentially what they have to do?
No. So what you do is you would know after Thursday, everybody who doesn't make the Challenger playoffs after Thursday will be out. Mm-hmm. So there'll be whatever that is, like half of the women from Challenger will be out, and you can pick from those women.
Okay.
Or men.
Okay. Who do you think? There's no word on who they're gonna bring up in place of them. Well, I guess nobody knows if it's even official at this point that Julian and.
You don't know if it's official or not, and you don't know which men and women will be available from the Challenger League, right? I mean, like guys, I think you'd be looking at Stefan or Gabe or Nunnery. Mm-hmm. I think those are some of the top picks. Yeah. But also, like, there's a good chance that at least a 50-50 chance that those guys are probably still playing.
Right.
For the women's side, you know, it's like Megan Fudge, Susanna, Yana. Yeah. I mean, it really just depends on where you think, like, who ends up getting out in Challenger.
So I was in Nashville this weekend for a Bounce tournament. Bounce is a pickleball app, and they're doing an amateur tour. I had 5 people come up to me, said they were fans of the podcast. It's pretty cool. Like everywhere I go now, if there's a pickleball court, it seems like they listen to this podcast.
Dang. So did they know you by your voice, or did they recognize you?
Most of them recognize me.
Did
Shout out to Lazarus.
Like, Lazarus?
Yeah, that was one of them.
Dope name.
He was just in all Packers gear, not even playing, just there to watch, but listens to the podcast.
Nice.
And
what a legend, Lazarus.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Lazarus. I put the 2 words together, legend and Lazarus. Now, did any of them like say, "Hey, Thomas," or were they all like, "I know you from somewhere"? You're the guy on the PicklePod.
No, there were some that walked straight up and were like, "I just listened to the podcast," and then there were some who, like, once we got introduced by someone else, they were like, "Oh yeah, I know you. I listened to it," even though they probably knew who I was the whole time, but we're just trying to be like,
they're playing it cool.
Yeah, they're playing it cool.
They're starstruck, Tommy.
Yeah, right.
I feel that. So what were you doing over in Atlanta? Or I'm sorry, in Nashville?
So it was a amateur tournament for Bounce, and sponsored by the Tennessee Titans. So the winners actually got $500, a signed and used Tennessee Titans helmet.
That's dope.
A signed and maybe used, I don't know if it was used, jersey, custom pickleball paddles. But then everybody got a shirt, a water bottle, and a bag. So it's pretty cool. And they like photographers, you like get your own photo as you're playing and stuff like that. So it was a really good tournament. They're going to do a bunch more soon. I think they have Orlando, then Mexico City actually is doing one in Mexico.
Okay.
Detroit, Philly.
I think my buddy Carlos is playing that one.
In Mexico City? Mm-hmm. Is he actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's going to win.
Yeah.
Right?
I would assume so.
He's pretty good, right?
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I dumb? Like, should I know what Bounce is? I feel like I don't know what Bounce is.
They're sort of slow playing it. I think they're going to emerge. They're going to slowly emerge over the next few months, and then you're not going to be able to not see them. And I think that's part of the play. So they're not doing any like splashy marketing or anything. But we're working with them, helping to promote and do a number of different things. But I think pretty soon you're going to hear a lot about them. And yeah, it's a pretty cool company.
And are they going to make a play at any of the pro game, or are they just trying to come into the amateur market and do it better?
So it's actually an app. So it's an app for open play, league and event management, communication, court scheduling, all that. But part of like the initial strategy is they're going to do a whole amateur tour. And, they're product guys, right? So people who are product guys, they tend to care about the user experience. That above all else, they're applying that philosophy to the tournaments themselves. So like they want anybody who comes, they're just going to give them a bunch of swag. You're going to be able to win a bunch of stuff. They want to make it sure it's the best amateur tournament experience in existence. That's like their number one MO. So this was their first ever tournament, and it was very much like figure it out as you go, and it was really good. A lot of people provided feedback. They were like, this is the best amateur tournament I've ever played. So it's pretty cool. But we did rally scoring.
Okay. What was interesting? What was different about it other than rally scoring?
I think just maximizing playtime. So everybody was guaranteed 6 matches at least, and then they were all put into a single elimination playoff. So everybody just got to like maximize their time there versus like sitting out.
So was it like a round robin pool into a playoff type thing?
2 round robin pools into playoffs. But this one, for the first one, it was just like mixed, combined duper, capped at 8, I think. And yeah, so it was like all different skill levels. But going forward, they'll sort of be dividing by skill and rating, and then they'll move to traditional scoring.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of teaching people how to do rally scoring there, which was like the only roadblock at the beginning.
So they're going to go the other way. They started rally scoring, and they're going to go to So did they do it full MLP rally scoring, or with like freeze and all that stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But now we have to undo the freeze.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the freeze, what do you think about the new, like, isn't there a change to the rules?
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. So
for Major League Pickleball.
For Major League Pickleball, previously there had been what they call a freeze. So let's say I get to 20 and you are at 16 points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serving. I lose the point. You're at 17. You lose the point. I don't score. I'm at 20-17. I lose the point again. You're serving 18. I have 20. Now, in order for you to score any more points, it all has to be on your serve.
Yeah.
You're frozen at 18 points.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be 20-0, and you can keep winning points on the return until you get up to 18.
Yeah.
After 18, it is complete side-out scoring.
Right.
So it's an interesting rule change. The freeze was a complication of the rules when the main pitch of rally scoring is that it's simple. The freeze was one of the most complex and convoluted rules, and I understand it. When there's one team that can only win points on their serve, and one team that can win both, it's unequal. I have a different way that I'd like to see this done.
Okay. Agents of Change. We should make this a segment.
What's something different? Okay.
Yeah. Vuori.com/thedink. 20% off your first purchase. Free shipping on orders $75 or over. Wow, I really had to rack the brain for that one, even though we've done this a million times. I've got this. I don't even know what model this is, but super soft. Different color than I usually am, just wearing like black or navy, but I think it's a pretty cool color. You're just repping the V today. You're repping the V hard. I'm
sending it. You know what? I wore that same blue one basically every podcast we've done. So I was like, I'm going to change it up.
Yeah.
I can't really the microphone was in the way. It's a big V that stands for Vuori.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Vuori.com/thedink.
I say we go to whatever you want the amount to be. Let's say, I think if you're going to get rid of, I say we make the sample or make the match a little bit longer. I say we go to 25, and it is first to 25. So if you get to 24, once you get to 24, you have to win the last point on your serve. And it is not win by 2. It is first to 25. So you could have a sequence where you're going side out, and it's flipping back and forth with match points for both people. So first to 25, with the last point having to be won on your serve. I think that fixes the complication of like the freeze. It makes the match a little bit longer so that if you have run up, if you're the clear better team and you're winning a larger percentage of the points, you will have more leeway to finish that match. Meaning, like, if you are a better team in the way that the format is working right now, like, your opponent can come back a little bit easier, but if it's over a longer or over more points, they're less likely to make that comeback, if that makes That probably doesn't make sense. Thomas is just staring at me.
Jamie, cut that.
Yeah, we might have to edit that out. Or just like,
in.
we can just make fun of me for that.
Yeah, you just like rambling, babbling through that.
It makes sense in my head, and that's what's important.
Right. Yeah,
anyway, just first to 25, okay? That's what it should be. I'm just going to say it here. You heard it here first. Agents of Change.
All right.
And I made a real compelling argument for it, too.
No, I'm convinced. Yeah. This is one of your best ones. All right, changing topics. Do you think Tyson got fined for the middle finger?
Didn't he? Well, he texted us that he got a bonus for it, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If he got fined, I would guess they would have made a press release about it.
Yeah.
I know they've got other stuff going on.
But I did see that they were doing some investigation into what took place, and they were going to issue a fine. So whether they issued that yet or not, I'm not sure. But I think that's coming.
What investigation is there to take, and who's doing this investigation?
I don't know, but like I think if an incident happens on court, you have to like get you have to get input from anybody who is involved or like proximate, so you get like a fair and balanced assessment of what actually took place before you go and say, hey, you owe us money, right? Theoretically, that's kind of a big decision to say that you're fined, you have to pay us something. So I think they have to do their due diligence.
I suppose so, but the precedent's been set, right? With Pablo flipping somebody off. Pablo flips somebody off on camera, gets fined. Tyson, he flipped somebody off. That's for sure. That was on there.
Yeah.
That's a fine right there.
Yeah.
That should be cut and dry. Maybe you have to figure out what you want to fine him for the F-bombs or the P-bombs.
Yeah, but you also have to look at what Tyler did. I mean, if somebody's flicking off another player, there's probably something that led to that, right? So they have to figure out what's there.
Do they net out or what? Like, because what Tyson did is what Tyson did. He should be fined.
No, they're not going to net out. They're definitely not going to net out.
Right, exactly. So what does Tyler saying to Tyson have to do with what the camera caught Tyson doing?
Well, I think they're assessing the incident in its entirety.
Okay, so that would mean, so if it was completely unprovoked, he'd be fined more. If it was provoked,
or
he'd be fined
they're trying
less.
to figure out whether they need to fine Tyler, whether that impacts how much they fine Tyson. I'm not sure. I'm just saying, like, think about it like this: if they issue a fine without having looked into it at all, and they just saw like a one moment on camera, and then they issue a fine based on that, but they ignore all these other details, wouldn't we all be like, well, that's BS. They didn't even care about figuring out the facts and what happened.
I would guess the fining is only occurring. I've seen way wilder shit go on side courts, right? The only reason we're talking about this was because it was on camera.
Yeah.
The only reason anyone's actually getting fined is because it was on center court.
Yeah.
And people saw it, and it was on whatever live stream it was. And whoever was streaming it at the time, whether it's Amazon or CBS or whatever, like, they don't want that. But if it happens on a backcourt, there's no nobody cares.
Yeah.
The only reason is because it got picked up on TV, basically.
Yeah. So now they're getting all the details.
Okay.
And I'm hoping, as a fan, someone who likes the drama, someone who likes the storylines and the narratives and the animosity and the competition, I hope that the tensions boil over at Major League Pickleball.
Yeah.
And there are some more incidents, whether on court or off court, and we get to talk about more drama and stuff like this. The sport needs it. This is what we need. We need the drama. We need the storylines.
Well, they play, like, aren't they the first center court match against each other?
Yes.
That's epic.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to, all the Tyson fans out there, I'm talking to you now, okay? The Tyson fans, you guys need to go get foam fingers, okay? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You guys need to show up to that match with foam fingers and somehow or another, like, cut that off and put it in the middle for that match.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, have the fans stir this stuff up. Fans have a responsibility here. Okay?
I mean, how epic would that be, though? Just like 10 of Tyson's tatted, mulleted, Miller Lite drinking boys out there with big foam fingers.
Yeah.
What do you think MLP would do if they just showed up with those?
They'd love it. They would love it.
I mean, you probably can't, like, cut to them on TV.
Yeah, you can. And they so would.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see if anything like that goes down, whether it's with those two or any other players, right? I think you sort of said you don't think there's going to be much tension between players, but I think there's a lot of things happening, and it's just a high pressure scenario. A lot of emotions involved. I feel like we could see some interesting things happen. So,
yeah, I mean, definitely high tension, high pressure. Like, I don't know. What do you think? You think something will boil over? Like, you're just like, yeah, somebody's gonna freak out. I don't know who it's gonna be.
Yeah. I think just the tension across the board has been heightened. And so a player who is likely to freak out at an opponent or even their own teammate, it's just that much more likely. What percentage, I don't know. But I just think, there's going to be there's just interesting stuff happening. So.
All right. So who's the freak out coming from? Who's going to lose their shit this weekend?
I don't know. You can always count on DJ for a little ruckus.
Okay. Yeah. But DJ is not like, he'll get pissed. I feel like he gets pissed off at himself. I've never actually seen him like
go at anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Well, I told him when he was on the pod, good for the brand, be the bad boy of pickleball, invest in that. It'll pay dividends down the road.
I think everybody agrees.
See if we get a bird from Pablo.
I feel like Pablo's a good. He's
got a bird. He's got an orange card, or was it a blue card?
Oh yeah, he had some MLP.
Yeah, man.
He did something else too, didn't he? He did the bird. Oh yeah, he threw his paddle at the scoreboard.
I love Pablo.
Pablo's the guy.
Yeah.
Pablo's the bad boy of pickleball.
Yeah, I want to get Pablo on the pod.
The nicest freaking guy in pickleball just gets pissed on the court.
Right.
I remember talking to Pablo. He's like, I won't do his accent, but he's like, yeah, I'm pretty much like the nicest guy, but like when I get mad, I get really mad.
Right, yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, that sort of checks out.
Yeah.
So,
one thing that will be interesting come next year, sort of Jan 1 or whenever this free agency starts, is if any of the premier teams try and go grab a Jack Sock. Do you think they will? Do you think Jack Sock is in premier when free agency starts next year? Well, I guess the question is, since everybody's in premier, all 24 teams, does he get signed to a team? I would bet that he does, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's probably a premier level player.
I mean, technically he's signed with the PPA though, so I think that goes back to my question before. Like for somebody like that, how does he get involved in Major League Pickleball? Do they need to add another contract on top of the one he already has, or do they use some of his allotted time from PPA, move it to MLP?
Yeah, so that's obviously a big question. I went back through my contract and read through the entire thing, and it said that the contract, at least the contract that I signed, is not assignable, meaning that I can't just sell it to somebody else, or MLP can't just sell my rights to somebody else, unless mutually agreed upon by the parties. And I would guess there's probably similar wording in the PPA agreement. So I would guess there's going to have to be some like small addendum to our agreement where rather than MLP giving you this contract, it is the new parent holding company. We both agree to assign the contract there. And I would guess there would be something that comes along from the PPA side as well. So like, we don't know what that looks like in form yet, but I'm sure there's going to be some way for, if they're a merged entity, there's going to be some way for Ben and Annalie to play MLP next year, and ways for, me and Tyson to play PPA next year.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, like, have you heard basically anything since that joint press release of the merger?
Like official details?
Official details, rumored details.
Not really. I mean, I think the big thing was just like the boycotts, and yeah, I don't think there's been too many updates beyond that, right?
Yeah, I've heard basically nothing about how merger talks are going. How I would guess they're probably focusing on Atlanta, and it would be a little bit of a lull. But I would also think that the decision makers, being Al, Jason, Brian, Steve, and Tom, they should be, and I'm sure they are, above one particular event. Meaning, like, they should be looking at big picture more than focusing on details of this event, which I'm sure they are.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just the other people are not relaying any of the movement from the merger stuff.
Right.
Because I've heard nothing basically on what actually next year looks like.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
We shall see.
Well, I guess the other details to emerge were like, okay, they're doing away with the challenger level, right? Relegation and promotion gone. Mm-hmm. And the free agency, right? Those are like, to me, those are the two big developments. So I don't know. All right. I want to give, there's a comment on YouTube because hand up kind of went hard at USA Pickleball. Like they don't do anything anymore. And really that was just a product of our own ignorance. We were just, we were just kind of shooting off the cuff. And there was a good comment and I wanted to read it because I feel it's justified and we should address it. So I'll read through it and then it's kind of long and then you can talk about it or we can provide like a reaction. Sound good?
Yeah, it looks good to me. This is you might want to put this one at 1.5 speed. Yeah. This is long, but it looks like it's all relevant.
You know when you read in front of the class in like third grade and
what, do you need me to do it?
It's really high pressure. That's how I feel right now. Okay. Hey, Zane and Thomas, enjoy your podcast. One of the few that I actually watch. So take this comment in the most respectful way. What does USA Pickleball do? Are you serious? USAP is a non-profit focused on governing the sport, growing the sport, etc. They don't have anything to do with pro stuff in general. The pros will do whatever they want to do with over 2,000 ambassadors who are out there meeting at city council meetings or parks and rec directors. We're giving out grants every month, over 500,000 given out to startup locations. As an ambassador, I was at the opening doing free clinics last night for Beaumont City Regional Park. I have a Zoom meeting with Yucca Parks and rec director next week. Let's talk numbers, Zane. Ooh, firing shots at Zane. Love it. Fire more shots at Zane. Never me, though.
Anytime.
How many pro players and even tourney players are there in the whole U.S.? 70,000? 100,000? How many rec players are there in the U.S.? 9 million? 20 million? While the pro scene gets a lot of airtime in social media and these podcasts, I mean, we barely ever talk about the pro game. The vast majority of pickleballers are out there in the rec world, don't know, and many don't even care about the pro game. When I travel around the country, I look for the local play, and I always meet players who have no clue there are even pro players out there. But when I ask them how they got into pickleball, they will often say they met an ambassador or they heard of a new location that started playing pickleball. I have yet to hear a single rec player say, I started playing pickleball because I saw a pro playing on YouTube. So the fact that USAP hasn't been mentioned in all this drama with the pro tours is a good thing because we don't focus or deal with the pro side of pickleball. 100,000 pro and tourney players versus 10 million rec players equals 1% of players play tourneys. So USAP focuses on the other 99% of players in the US. USAP is pretty busy focusing on growing the sport, getting more courts, dealing with sound mitigation, keeping things fair in gear, facilitating the ambassador network, growing more grants, etc. I encourage you guys to step back from all the drama of the pro tour for just a second and look at the big picture of pickleball in the US, and then you'll see what USAP does. By the way, the new Blue Zone show on Netflix has Pickleball episode 2. Okay, that's good. That, I think, is a good synopsis of what she read or what she commented.
Yeah.
Once you know the whole story, you can see how USAP is relevant and growing the sport. Disclaimer, I'm a USAP ambassador and also currently sit on the USAP board of directors.
So I think we're saying slightly different things here. Like, at least my point that I was trying to make last time was like, I don't think USAP is relevant in professional testing. There's different objective there. They should be testing paddles for those 10 million participants. You're right. 100%. I understand that the vast majority of players are not participating in tournaments. Like, that's who they are and should be focused on. Now, I guess my point was paddle testing should test to the objective of the entity. For USA Pickleball, it's probably keeping a low barrier to entry so that people can keep coming into the sport and enjoying. For pro pickleball, it is to create the most compelling visual game. And so that's different. I guess there are lots of ambassadors that are spending their own time like growing the game and doing awesome things, and I've interacted with a lot of them at the very grassroots side of things. So like growing the game in that way, I think is very, very important and appreciated. I don't know. What are your takes here?
No, it's totally fair. I mean, I think what she said was right. And then another comment said that we're in a bubble. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, no, we're very specific. Like yes, we're 100% talking about the professional,
right?
Though the 1% of, if that 0.001% of people that are playing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that those 0.001% of people who are playing are treated differently and probably should be treated differently. Like they have different objectives. They play the game for different reasons. People watch them play for or go to their. They're just doing it something completely different. They're doing it as a job. Like spend more time doing it. It's a different game, I think. Yeah. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that either.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
So,
but I just wanted to be accountable because we did just be like, yeah, USA Pickleball does nothing. They obviously do a ton for the game. So figured it was worth mentioning and bringing up and addressing. One more.
I'll keep asking the question. I'll keep digging on that. Let's get some more feedback. Like I get that, and this is a genuine question. I'm not just being an asshole. I am an asshole, but I'm not just being an asshole right now. What are things that USA Pickleball is focused on a? I guess I'm just curious what like the overall plan is. What are some tangible steps? I think they made good points that there are tons and tons of ambassadors out there growing the game. Like, I don't know. I'd be curious if you're a USA Pickleball ambassador, leave us a comment. Like, what else is USAP doing? I think the things that they mentioned, growing the game, getting funding for courts, all that stuff is super important. For my own understanding, I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of the points that was glossed over too is that the vast majority are rec players. Even outside of the pro game, there needs to be a certain standard for paddles. Otherwise, you can just go out into amateur games with whatever the hell you want and potentially have a piece of equipment that gives you a massive advantage, right? So there needs to be a certain set of rules that is adopted widely in amateur play. And then there can be a separate set of standards for the pro game. But when all these brands are selling millions of paddles a year now, are manufacturing paddles, they need to be able to adhere to a certain set of guidelines. And USA Pickleball still determines what those general guidelines are. Paddle manufacturers, the ones that care about, well, I guess paddle manufacturers have to take both sets of standards into account now, right? So USA Pickleball's standards still play a massive role in terms of manufacturing decisions.
And I think you can use probably 90% of USA Pickleball's paddle testing standards, but maybe you need them tested more specifically, more accurately, whatever, right? Like if we're really testing we use certain tests to figure out how poppy a paddle is, but they're not super accurate tests. Like we talked about with Ben. If you want to talk about how fast a ball is going to come off of a paddle, you shouldn't be using like deflection or dwell test or whatever you want to call it, right? You should be using an exit velocity test. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't.
They aren't doing that. But I think just less setting the nuance aside, those more like technical topics, like just generally, right? Like the shape, length of a paddle are important, right? Otherwise, I might go out there with a paddle that is composite, but the length of a tennis racket. Now I have insane reach in the kitchen, right? So they need to come up with a certain set of standards to protect against that, right? Everybody needs
at the
to
amateur level.
Certain, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, if Major League Pickleball decides that it's better for viewership to have tennis racket sized paddles, then that's MLP's call.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I think we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
I agree. No, I think it's very important for the amateur game to have USA Pickleball regulating paddles and having certain standards.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. And I want to read another comment because I think this gives a good assessment of like the two sides of the opinion when it comes to the Tyson Tyler thing. So one commenter was like, I definitely was a bigger Tyson fan than I am now. I do not care about the chirping, but I think it really showed his true colors by him paddle tapping for the camera. And then when he thought it wasn't on camera, he went at Tyler. I was glad Tyler didn't take his crap. Someone commented back and said, Tyler has a weekly podcast where they basically roast Tyson anytime his name gets brought up. I don't think he was that out of line, TBH.
There's only one way to settle this. They got to get in the octagon.
Yeah, they got it.
It's like 100%.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have a better idea?
No. Yeah, they need to wrestle. They need a bare knuckle box. We'll throw them in like a coliseum.
I still feel like they need to nerf Tyson a little bit, like because he was a fighter. Or he was a wrestler.
Yeah, right. So we need to find something that's even.
So like when Riley and Matt Wright had their breakup, I suggested that they get in the octagon as well. I'm a big fan of the octagon, by the way.
Yeah.
But I asked the
question.
I asked the question: who wins in a fight, in an octagon fight? Matt Wright or Riley Newman? But Riley has to take 15 seconds at the beginning of every round to thank his sponsors. Who wins that fight?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And Matt can just be swinging away.
I think that Matt can just be like throwing haymakers for a good 15 seconds each round. But then Riley is like, can go beast mode.
Yeah, I mean, this is why
Matt's basically got 15 seconds to just take him out.
Right. Yeah, and you know, this is why people listen to our podcast. We're the number one podcast because we have high intellect debates like this. We go where other podcasts won't, right? This is the hard-hitting analysis.
Unless we go too far, then we delete it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. Who hasn't deleted a show? That's why I got to hit delete.
All right. Should we get to the MLP preview?
Yeah.
Or is there anything else that we want to cover beforehand?
No, I think we can jump into that.
Okay.
I think we covered everything.
All right. So, do you have any favorites? Anybody stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be boring here and just be like anytime Ben's out there, like his team has a really high percentage chance of pulling it off. And so, like, if I were to put my money on any one team, it's got to be that team, right? But why don't we walk through like the different groups and we'll talk about who we think is going to emerge the winner in the respective groups, right? So,
yeah, first group is Group A, which is Bay Area Breakers, Ranchers, Squeeze, and Bouncers. The Breakers are arguably one of the most even teams across the board. It's Leia, Etta, Rafa, and Connor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that team sort of has potential to be the sort of like the Mad Drops of last time, where there wasn't any necessarily like huge standout. Obviously, Catherine was top like player, high level pick, but that's a team there where they have a good chance to win in any of the four events. You can't really, they're not a huge favorite at any event, but they're also not out of any of the four events. Next team is Dylan, Georgia, Lauren, and Travis. That's the Texas Ranchers,
right?
And sounds like Lauren is going to be out.
Yep.
I think that team totally just depends on who they can pick up with that female spot.
Right.
Right. Somebody like Susanna would go well probably with Georgia. Dylan and Travis will be a real tough team to play against, and good mix for both of them. It's going to depend on who they're going to pick up in Lauren's spot.
Yeah, and I think that's really probably going to be the biggest criticism of Julian and Lauren just opting to sit out is they leave their team high and dry. As a teammate, I think I'd be decently frustrated with that, unless, as we said earlier, there were details behind the scenes we're just not privy to.
Yeah, that's understandable because their actions have ramifications on 6 other people and 2 other ownership groups. Like that's there. I would hope that there's a good reason for that, like a very good reason for it.
All right, let's talk about your squad. How you feeling? Have you played with Rohrbacher at all?
I haven't played with her yet, but played against her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, she's the X factor on our team. Right. She was a high risk, high reward pick, and fortunately, she's been playing very well. Mm-hmm. Like, she had some good wins in dubs over in Cincinnati, and then also took a bronze in singles. So if we can keep that going, like, I like our chances of coming out of that group and giving people hell. It'll be interesting. I don't at this point know what we're gonna do for sides. Like
right.
Anna and Rachel. I don't know who's gonna play what side. I guess I would guess that Anna's probably gonna play the left and try and take 2/3 of the court. Andre and I have obviously played before. I've played the right with Andre. Happy to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And then mixed. I think Anna and Andre are playing together, but I guess we'll find out on Friday.
Yeah, right. So are you guys gonna? When do you get there?
I get there at like 7 a.m. tomorrow. I'm on an early flight.
Oh.
So we'll play a bunch. We got multiple matches tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
We got plenty of time on Thursday.
Yeah. And so when you guys get there, have you reached out to other teams like, hey, let's do some exhibitions, like some training exhibitions tomorrow?
Yeah, we I think have an exhibition match with the Black Diamonds.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is,
I don't know. They're not in our group.
Anna Lee, Irina, Thomas, AJ, who by the way is a very strong team.
Yeah, that is a good team.
Okay. And then the bouncers. How do you feel about the bouncers? I think some people are pretty low on the bouncers. I tend to be a little bit higher on them. I think men's is going to be tough. But I think Simone and Paris are going to be a really solid women's team. I'm just higher on like Simone and Paris than most, especially Simone. If Simone plays well, her body's feeling good. I think she still is one of the top females.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, look, anybody can show up at, on paper, I would say they're one of the weaker teams, but like, if they gel well and play well for a small-ish sample size of points and rally scoring formats, like, anything can happen.
Who's coming out of that one? You got to pick yourself.
So, how many teams come out actually now? So
I don't know. That's above my pay grade. You got to know this one.
I think last time there were
It's not above my
6.
pay grade. I'm just lazy.
So the top 2 overall teams, based on like matches won, point differential, they get buys. And then 4 more. So there will be, let's just say, the top 2 teams in every group, because then it'll determine, well, I would rank this little pod. I would go, maybe I'm partial. I'm going to put us number 1. I'm going to put Bay Area number 2. I'm going to go Texas Ranchers number 3, just because they're down a person. And then I'm going to go Atlanta Bouncers number 4 in that group.
Okay.
But
I would have gone Ranchers, but obviously they're going to need to pick somebody up, and that's a total toss-up, so who knows what's going to happen there. So I'm going to go with Bay Area, and then just because you are sitting across from me, I'm going to go with the Bouncers at number 2.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Group B.
Wait, I want number 3 and number 4.
I'll put Ranchers last. I just think if you're picking up somebody and you don't know who it is, and it's I just think they have an uphill battle. And then,
damn, this group's rough. This next group.
Yeah, group. So
we got DC
Pickleball
team, which is Riley, Jackie, Jade, and Christian. We got the Slice, which is Ben, Jesse, Lacey, and Eric. Utah, which is Annalie, Irina, Thomas, and AJ. And then Dallas, which is James, Callie, Elise, and Croissant Hands. Croissant Hands, Ed Sheeran loving Frenchman.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All
interesting
right.
part
you
of
were
this
right.
being
Our blog is the best place to look for this. I was like jumping back and forth between sheets. Okay. Yeah. All right.
The interesting part of that being Riley obviously passing on AJ picking up Christian Alshon.
Mm-hmm.
So no idea how those two are going to play together. We have a very good sense of how Jade and Jackie are going to play together. And they'll be solid in both of those mixed matchups.
Yeah, I don't know. Riley hasn't exactly been super successful in this format, meaning Major League Pickleball. But in my mind, I overvalue energy and like people who can get hyped up and get in the other team's face. So I actually like Riley and Christian together. I think they're a pretty formidable team. And Jackie and Jade are obviously going to be solid. I don't know who's going to play with who in mixed. But I don't know. To me, that one's a complete that could go either way, right? I think their energy could propel them to the top, or it could sink them right to the bottom if things don't start going their way.
Yeah, they have an interesting Jackie and Jade are just chill, and then Christian and Riley are
very up and down players.
Yeah. Maybe they'll mellow them out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Chicago Slice. We got Ben Johns, Jesse Irvin, Lacey Schneeman, Eric Lang. This is my pick. This is who I think is going to take the whole thing.
That's your number one?
Yep.
So the crazy part is either that DC team that we just talked about, the Chicago Slice there, or the Utah Black Diamonds, which is Annalie, Irina, Thomas, and AJ.
Yeah.
One of those teams isn't going to make it.
Right.
And those are arguably 3 top 6 teams.
Yeah. If 2 emerge, I'm going Chicago and Utah. Again, Utah is Annalie, Irina, Thomas Wilson, AJ Kohler. If Utah were in a different group, I would say it's going to be Chicago Slice and Utah in the final. That would have been my pick.
Yeah.
But they're in the same group. So, but again, 2 could emerge, right? But they'll still be on the same side of the bracket when the playoff starts. How does that?
They'd be on opposite. Well, they'd be on the opposite sides of the bracket, but
so
neither
could
probably
be them in the final.
I mean, I get a sense that this whole group is going to beat each other up so much that none of them are going to get a bye, possibly, right? And which would be very interesting,
right?
So I'll go Utah Black Diamonds. I'll go Chicago Slice. I'll go DC and then Dallas.
Okay.
Last group is Group C, which is Miami, Columbus, Brooklyn, and Arizona. Miami is Federico, Tyson, Hurricane, Tyra, and Mary. Columbus is J-Dub, Megan, Dazan, Maggie Brascia, and Colin Johns. Brooklyn is Catherine, Coop, Hayden, and Loong. Arizona is Julian, Vivian, Deckel, and Vivian. So, again, this is a group of a bunch of sit-outs. Well, I guess not a bunch of. Mary is out for Miami, and Julian, first-round pick, is out for Arizona.
Yeah, that's tough for Miami because I feel like that's actually a pretty solid team, especially the way Tyra's playing. So depending on who they're able to pick up. But there's some good women floating around, I think, that could arguably been in premieres. So I actually think they might be all right. They might be able to fill Mary Brascia's spot with somebody on par with her. I don't know. I think there's some options out there that you could debatably say would be better. It would be almost like an upgrade.
I mean, possibly. I do worry about the Fed and Tyson might just be a grind you down team. I don't know who's going to play right, who's going to play left there. They're not 2 of the most offensive players. They both have, good hands and never miss. But I guess playing against some of these other teams, they're not going to be the initiators, I think. So can they beat a team of J-Dub and Colin? Maybe. Can they beat a team of Hayden and Tyler? Possibly. Probably. I'd put them as favorites there. Julian, Deckel, and somebody. That's interesting. I'm just curious how that men's team does. For this round, I'm going to go Brooklyn Aces, number 1. I'm going to go Columbus, number 2. I'm going to go.
Yeah, this group is interesting.
3 and 4 are kind of I feel like a toss up there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go Arizona Drive 3 and Miami 4 because I think Deckel could be playing with somebody like a Stefan or whatever, and Deckel is such a presence that men's team could be all right. He plays great with Vivian, and the combo of Vivian and Vivian will be solid too. So I think I'd put those guys at the 3rd out of 4 there.
Okay, here's my prediction. Julian and Lauren end up playing.
I can see it, yeah.
And Arizona Drive is the number 1 team out of this group. After that, I'm going Brooklyn.
I can see it. Okay. Well, we had one. Well, I guess we've been a little lax on the Stop Alzheimer's Now questions, but we've also been both kind of scrambling around. I had one question, and if you've asked some questions, we'll get to them next week for sure. I've just been I've been traveling. I've been sick. Somebody pointed out that I looked like what was that comment?
You
They
look
said,
like death.
I looked like death
Dude,
last week.
we had some funny comments lately. Some funny chirps on Twitter. When people talk shit to us, I enjoy it. I laugh at all of them.
I like it.
I read one out loud. I was like,
some guy was like
laughing.
Was saying like Zane looks like he needs to go get a COVID test, and that person was absolutely not wrong. So last week, actually, it was a little longer.
This.
Okay, go ahead.
At Zane Navarrete looks like death in this pod. Like, damn, bro, take a nap or a COVID test. Also, Thomas always looks like someone whose parents let him drink underage and helped him get a pilot's license for no reason. So it's such a weirdly specific chirp.
I like the weirdly specific.
Yeah, right.
Do you have a pilot's license?
And then
no. Okay.
I'm terrified of flying, but I fly a lot. So I've gotten over that fear to a degree. What somebody just goes, this is your worst pod. You guys talked about nothing. What? I thought like that was it was like one of the most juiciest episodes. There's so many good topics in the last one.
They probably just stopped listening after the first 15 minutes of us talking about nothing.
And we're going to do that to him again this episode.
But, some people just want the facts. Some people like the banter. Some people like you and me. Most people don't, but some people like you and I when we just talk. Yeah. So to that person that commented that I looked like death and I needed to go take a nap and a COVID test, I did that. I was like, just last week I was getting over, I had COVID, pink eye, and strep all at the same time. I was on 2 different antibiotics. I had just got over COVID, and I went directly from here to take my second nap of that day. So that person who left that comment was spot on.
Yeah. I think we were both like exhausted, but it was like one of those things where like you're so exhausted, you're like wired. And it ended up being like a pretty lively episode.
We were running on adrenaline only.
Yeah. How do you feel now?
I feel good. I feel much better.
Yeah, big week.
Absolutely.
Better say you feel good.
How about you? What was your excuse last week for looking like you drink underage and had a pilot's license?
I think that's just how I look. Just my face, unfortunately, stuck with it.
Yeah, I want weekly roasts from whoever that was.
Yeah.
That was good. Like, come at us again.
Yeah, I like when people chirp us.
Yeah, like we got to do a Zane and the other guy read mean tweets.
Yeah, I'll do it. And if you guys chirp us, I'll like read it every time. There's that one. Yeah, we've had some good people come at us.
Yeah,
but all right.
We did have one question from my buddy Kevin McPherson over in Madison.
Okay.
He wants to know who would be the top 4 pickleball teams in a parent-child bracket.
Stephen Callan Dawson is up there. Lee and Anna Lee, obviously. Julian J-Dub, Julian Georgia.
I thought you said Julian.
No. I bet like Weinbach and his son.
Yeah.
would actually be pretty good.
That'd be a good
I don't
one.
remember the young
Me and
linebacker's
Althoff.
first name, but I think he's a decent player.
Yeah, there's Jake, Sam, and Ryan.
Ryan, I think, is the one who I saw play in like Mesa over a year ago, and he seemed like a decent player.
Sam's playing. All of Dave's kids are playing pretty well. Jake has the job at the PPA. I don't know how much he's playing anymore. Ryan, I think, is in school, and then Sam is maybe just started college. I think Sam is the tallest of that group. He's pretty good. He played some pro stuff last year in Chicago. I think he had to play like Deckel and J-Dub in the first round.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than my first ever pro match when I played Riley and Tyson, though. And I've said this before. We show up to the court, and the PPA has those big banners with like the big faces of the players. And it was like, I walk across the court from Tyson and Riley, and behind them is a massive banner of Tyson and Riley, like screaming. I'm like, of course.
But they must have been intimidated when you like showed up in a Dink t-shirt.
Oh yeah, really, yeah. They're probably terrified, dude.
I think so.
How could you not be?
They're like, can you imagine the articles that this guy's going to write about us if we lose to him?
Yeah, right.
They had all the pressure on them.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the banners, man. But you control the narrative.
Yeah.
You are big pickleball.
Yeah. The one thing that I noticed about that match, though, was like they didn't even try and pull anything. They were just like, we're just going to dink them to death. Like they didn't go for anything. There was no like, they weren't rushing. They weren't like, oh yeah, we can basically mess with these guys. They were just like, we're just going to dink you to death. And that's what happened. Well, what other like parent, like son or daughter teams would there be? Are we missing any?
There's me and Althoff, or me and my dad.
Yeah.
Me and my dad went 3-2 at the U.S. Open a couple years ago in the split age thing.
Really?
Yeah. What do you mean, really? Dennis is a baller.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't play as much anymore, so that's probably not relevant anymore. Now he's taken to Twitter instead. No, I think you nailed them. I think that those are a good couple, unless there's
Anna Bright and the Peacock.
The Peacock.
Her mom's the Peacock. She's the Pickleball Peacock.
This is news to me.
Yeah, you got to find her Instagram account. It's great.
The Pickleball Peacock.
Yeah, and she makes like custom T-shirts.
I didn't know that she was making
pickleball
merch.
Stuff.
I knew she was making merch. I didn't know it was the Pickleball Peacock.
Yeah, she's pretty funny. I don't know what her game's like though.
What about some of the up and comers, like some of the young kids that are playing, like Ryler and their kids, Ryler and Megan and their kids. I mean, they're too young, obviously, but they'll be good.
Oh yeah, so Susanna and Porter Barr.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a good one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that could
probably
be
some other ones we're not thinking of. But let me ask you a question. Okay, you ready?
Oh boy, this feels serious.
Are you tired of the endless search for the perfect court?
Oh, wow, it was serious.
Well, say goodbye to court hunting hassles with Swimply, your go-to solution for hassle-free court rentals. So whether you're planning a pickleball party or just want to enjoy a friendly match, Swimply's got you covered. With Swimply, you can easily find and book private courts that suit your game and your schedule. Just download their app, browse available courts in your area, and book the one that's perfect for you. Beautiful backyard pickleball courts are just a tap away. Dude, you just have to tap and you have beautiful pickleball courts. It's amazing. Don't let the court hunt hold you back. Dive into the world of Swimply today. Visit swimply.com or find them in the App Store. Escape locally with Swimply.
I gotta check this out. We talked about it last time and I didn't do anything about it. Like, I'm gonna see what they have
Airbnb
going
pickleball
on
courts
over here in Austin. Do you know like how many markets they're in yet, or is it already?
I think they're
national
national because they were doing the pools. Now they're doing the pickleball courts, and they're actually doing kitchens now, which is really interesting. So you can like rent out like a really nice kitchen for like a dinner party or like an event or something like that, which I think is pretty cool.
Let's see what we have in Austin.
But
there's some in Driftwood. The house that owns. Oh, I think Steve's house is on here.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Steve's house is on there.
I think maybe his kitchen's on there too. So you can go hang out in Steve's kitchen.
You can go play pickleball on Steve Kuhn's courts. That's crazy. There's I recognize these courts. That's the Millbrook courts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So,
I don't know what these ones are.
Nah, pretty good courts on there.
Yeah. It is very hard to get courts in Austin, and plenty of other places. But some good spots on here.
Mm-hmm.
Go visit Steve Kuhn's court on Swimply. That's actually pretty badass.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right, that's all I got.
Okay.
Tell them what the podcast is.
You do it this time.
It's PicklePod. It was on you. The camera's on you.
It's PicklePod.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, Tyler has gonna